It looks like the Democrats are flipping out over Trump's immunity given by the Supreme Court. Let's check it out.
Things like, can the president assassinate a rival? I think we have to look at the Supreme Court's affirmative answer to that. Yes, you can. With as much seriousness as it deserves. I mean, this is a death squad ruling. This is a ruling that says that as long as you can construe it as an official or quasi-official act, you can do absolutely anything, and never be held accountable, not only while you are president, but forever. And this is a president who has activated pro-Trump paramilitary groups that, wear insignia and T-shirts and hold placards celebrating literally right-wing death squads, right? This is a president who has talked about absolutely using the Justice Department to go after his rivals. This explicitly immunizes anything the president wants to do through the Justice Department, but all but explicitly justifies anything the president wants to do, full stop, to anyone. And that is as serious as it gets.
So there you have it. We're going to have deaths in the United States, and the president is now a king. Here's the thing they don't seem to understand is that this power that was given, this immunity that was given to Trump, will be given to all future presidents. And every 4 years or 8 years, a Democratic president comes into office. We only have two flavors in the United States as far as a political party. So the thing is, what are the Democrats going to do when they have a president in office who has this immunity? But let's take a look and let's hear what constitutional lawyer Robert Barnes thinks about the ruling and how it was presented, and then what happens afterwards. So let's take a look at what he has to say.
Well, yeah, they completely eviscerated the indictment. And remember, they just overturned the obstruction statute. That's the main thing he's charged with anyway. And they put in a footnote, the court has to evaluate that. So the court has to look at, did Jack Smith ever have the power to bring this prosecution? If not, the whole thing has to be dismissed. It has to dismiss the obstruction charge because that no longer fits. So that only leaves some of their bigger legal reaches to begin with. And they say you have to go through and look at that and say, are any of these things that are within the outer perimeter of a presidential duty? And in fact, they go through and identify a whole bunch of things that clearly are already immune. Yeah, the federal lawfare against Trump is DOA. The Florida case and the DC case are DOA. The Georgia case is now likely DOA. That only leaves the New York case. And the judge there never did this analysis. They said before any former president can reach trial, you as a judge must go through piece by piece by piece. Does the indictment allege anything that concerns an official act? Did it use any evidence concerning his private papers? And if you haven't done that, you've got to vacate the verdict. I think Trump's team has the right to go to the New York court and move to vacate the verdict on the grounds the court never did its constitutional duty as established now by this Supreme Court decision in Trump v. the United States. And so that could mean that there is no sentencing on July 11th. They already have the juror contamination issue, tampering issue with a rogue juror violating their oath. So between those two, there's a good argument that this judge should not even do sentencing, should vacate the verdict, should take out everything that could be immune, and have to go back and do a whole trial all over again. And so it's a massive win for the president. It's not as big as it could have been. It's not as big, in my view, as it should have been. But what it does is it establishes that all of the lawfare against the president over by the Biden administration, the Justice Department, are DOA. I think unless they get Biden to agree to step down, they're going to have a hard time replacing him. And that creates the greater risk we talked about last week, that there is a way. How do you build big narrative? Like, you look at the objectives. They need to replace Biden as a popular, likable replacement being done in a democratic process that doesn't lead to allegations of corruption and the rest. Well, the only way to really and they need to remove Kamala Harris at the same time. A false flag event that takes both of them out literally would be the thing I would be most concerned about the deep state resorting to. If we looked at this like it was a banana republic, which is the way it has become under the Biden administration, that's how the deep state would operate in those areas. They would say, how do we build a martyrdom campaign The martyrdom campaign explains how and why it makes popular the replacement for Biden, that you make him martyred based on some so-called Trump supporter doing something, terrible and like a bomb or something like that. And so you're able to blame Trump, make a martyr of Biden, celebrate their replacement, and make them the more viable replacement. Good at putting out to people, look for these stories where they're trying to preface something. They're trying to precondition your mind to accept something later on, whether it's a TV show, a film, a book, or a news story, right? Well, they put out a news story about some Trump supporters supposedly threatening President Biden. That was then used as an excuse by Jack Smith to talk about it in a gag order attempt in the Florida case. So they're preconditioning people for that narrative.